Oh, Tahidele.
Tahidele.
Oh, ahong. Oh, ahong. Tenesa. The Sibjita function. Somebody, so. Nini Jidoma, Nijari, Mato, Mekiwan Dupe, Timi Jilongla Yang, Nija, Mambo, Chichilla, Lindruma, the Tutis Dole, so. Tena Nini, Nija, Tachiti, Tijang, Chomdru Chamber. Dawa si parma cheva soma di tata sabe chepa redri kotang di sosa ga lo nyune ta sa den ja chari ba so ki meche te so so sabe chepa re tni tpa chebo ta tpa chungji so no ta tni ta ta mambo yoren dena sona tni tpti se dole Dole, Dina Nini, Ya Jagati, the Mija, Chomcher Kibo Tavela, Dawa Si, Parmache the Soma, Sumba, Jujigla, Langdrua in Bala, Tayang, Nija Jigba, Domba, Ling Jongba the Lady, Langba, Yimbe, Nijag, Domba, Majority made also. Ni da siga pa lang na choba teni je tam cha be lo teni sa de choga ti de la so ba teni ta doma ne de to da gong yi song ti de sa ba che ba yin song yin lang de ta sa da di long to ji li ta da mo ko long long so ba ri ta da lang de chokri yo re ti pe ne chokri chi be da chokri chi be da si parmache da soe tutti l'andro in aso trita campo chocolate da so che tanti giornate ti giocano una parte la domanda che io triti te stavo somare
so then number 3 is the third examination regarding the suitability of taking the vows a single time to cover a duration of many days. It says even in the traditions of the lower vehicles, which assert that the arising of the Nina vows is limited to 1 day, one may take at one time the vows for many days. So what this is really saying is that the difference is brought about by the motivation. So whether or not vows will arise for a number of days depends on one's motivation. And so then there's many viewpoints also with regard to the Mahayana and the Hinayana, but in essence it depends on one's motivation. And Thupten Jidor said, for this reason, although there is a definite 1-day limit for the Nina vows, it is suitable to take them at one and the same time when one will be observing them uninterruptedly. For instance, for half a month during the months of great miracles. In this way, since one takes the 1-day vows and recites the vow taking up to 15 times, there is no fault, as one has not altered the 1-day vows. What this is in brief saying is that it is fine, for example, to take the vows for like half a month, like the month of miracles. So there is the vow-taking liturgy that one recites accordingly. And as I mentioned before, it really depends on your motivation, your intention. In brief, this is saying that it is fine to take it for a number of days. For example, if you're starting on the 15th day on full moon day, then you can take the vows until the new moon day, until the 30th day.
다시 라소반은 야 대비해서 희생 것으로 대달 개달 림뼈 철양 시 길네 제시 좀 받으시 초가 전에 당 로직의 야동 제스음 강이라 림발도난 균전에 성대 제시 로직의 야동 제스음 성어 졸라 시바다 카전에 링거바리 예라.
So therefore, it says in the Treasury commentary on the Abhidharma Kosha that the vows of half a month and so forth are recited on one day. So in whichever way one takes the vows, the liturgy that says from the 1st to the 15th day and so forth should be paraphrased according to how one intends to take the vows. If one wishes to take them on the full moons, the new moons, and the 8 lunar days for an entire year, it is taught that one should take them by paraphrasing the liturgy so that it says, from this time on, for an entire year, on all the full moons, new moons, or on the 8 lunar days, and so forth.
땅이 야도지 송모 쪼라 샤마자 삼나 드리까트니 디 도바드 징고요레 디어 징데 오 땅야도 게 송모 쪼라 사 드리까트니 드리 랑기지 셈지바지 셈지 통제 돈데 라요 삼 바미 왕도 마송하더니 또 바요 바지 바리 바디지 원하지 도바지요레 다도 말랑 카크 켈리게 바가야면은 드리도 너밖에 맞지 셈나 바로 거래 드리 강직 돈이 시대 바요 인성 사실 좀 이제 그렇게 바요 반디 드리 라니 소되면은 바요 바데 담지 돈나 강도 졸람 째시 저런 그 셈그 내가 들라시서 셈그 낭니 저들이 다란 게 막시 이렇게 들이 이나제 도바 나가 가레나 나 위에나 나 제나 차장은 되지 이렇게 될 때면 가는데니 대양자들이 별명서 좀 가지고 다다만 룽아이서 개발아 그 제대로 말씀드리 저듯이요 상바제도 받을 룽아이서 개발아 그 룽아이서 개발아 그랬다 르게 도발이 나가들이 랑게 깜돌로 들이 생구산 축생지 대선들 룽아이서 개발아 그랬지 들 막시들이라고 도반이야 대탐지 다다디 세부대지 카기 좋아로로면 대 답되어요래 대 소동 도바 디바테리데 니마타 파트리 고서 대로거래 습지 탐치지 또 상바제 잡아들은 아이도 개발하고 가래리 등 산속 좀 도바이 산속 진짜 다들 이제 툭 찍는 앞에나 들이랑 산속 생기 님다 마냥 제다 마지 제바지 가리 심지 탐지 등내지 통투지에서 제바 때려서 사바다 이제 지양 마지 대신 오 심지 등내지 여서 제바 때려 사바다 이제 제라 다지 제리요래 다지 뭐가 되지 오 상이지 제라 들이지 제 누구 뭐 세상다 타도라서 그 바지 추는 다 뒤가면들이 제시되면 오늘 도발랑요 따따따지 누구 뭐 바지 추서서 들이 남상들이 샤과체 양조 샤과체 고래 들지 봐요 그 카게 샤과체는 생게 나게 계랑 사촉 생게 생도 사촉 생제네 들이 제일 라틴이랑 그 누가가 도바 나가도 저 랑도로 와서 대체서 하는 될 또 생구 짜와 그들이 가서 족생들 가다 파티 정성아 산족생들이란 게 내가 로아를 돌리더니 내가 털성 공방 타로 제양 산족생이 他都长期光帮他们讲啥，讲啥就是用地的样的真呢。这拖拉从这了，还叫600千步，做600千步嘞。哦，多把人养不干呢，600斤的600这个的，大理养家上就是啊，水用了嘞，600没那下辈么大送，这里你把重重定了，600千步的斤了，这3斤没差把嘞的。这里来到把钱把钱个就是钱没把马钱把钱把没把干的钱米买不的钱米个干的这把啥啥都有把啥啥嘛我这哈口要嘛嘞，原来大家都牛么吧，这是花钱干的这炒的这我是呢，这老上这小花钱，别人口头让我的了，老上上这些他们大学生的，这让来一起钱，多的这里他多把几把这个嘞，上这的军的嘞，这口头让我他多么样我，别这找那个的习惯嘞，这现在这里这身边个那个家庭呢，对长期的身边的样是这样，这几多把我那就打，多把这个多把这嘞，这咋这别人后，别人多把这是烧是正常的。这里对烧的嘞，有个节呢，这里干嘞，这里他从这边把头把这烧有的把节们就我这早上面都把节上把节的，节的些弄上出成节，他的都把节上去，甚至烧了这里上出成你这个有的我节上，这你这个把的就节没把，这里成品说下是能干人了，就让他们这里这里上把的你就把的，这里。可能说我做的东巴送的上把的年纪的，这里真的就那个这里给了啥吧，他们帮，但是那里开了我得上去热的。
So this is now speaking about the duration of the vows and now whether or not vows have arisen. And so it says here that we can change the wording of our commitment depending on the duration that we would like to take the vow. So, but actually, what really actually determines whether or not a vow has arisen? So, for example, some take a vow, let's say on the 8th or on the 15th day, to not eat meat on that day. So what is important for that vow, in order for that vow to arise, is that you actually recall, you remember that vow at that time, on the 8th or on the 15th day, and so on. And so what is essential is the remembering of one's mind generation, that I've taken this vow for the benefit of all sentient beings. And when you are unmindful, then this does not arise within your mind. When you are mindful, then this thought arises in your mind. So if you only verbally express some kind of vow, but you do not actually sustain mindfulness of it, then the vow does not really arise. So you need to be mindful of the vow. The Buddha also said what we say is emptiness is actually this mindfulness or conscientiousness. Also in the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says, in whatever you do at all times, look at the state of your mind. This is how you practice mindfulness. So now, whatever of the vows you take, the 8 vows or one of them or 4 of them, you have to bring them up so they're present in your mind. You have to be mindful of them. So, for example, in the Jigong Kagyu lineage, we're actually continuously taking that vow when we are reciting this first prayer in the beginning, the Dagdharma, and after that we say, so until attaining enlightenment, for example, I will apply my body, speech, and mind towards you. So what that refers to, applying the body, speech, and mind towards you, is with your body, you're taking a vow. With your speech, you're reciting refuge. And with your mind, you cultivate bodhicitta. This is to apply body, speech, and mind to virtue. And so especially now when you take a certain vow, then you have to be mindful of that while you are reciting the liturgy, which spells it all out, so it's very convenient. So in this way, actually, by reciting this particular prayer, we are taking the vow actually each and every day by saying that from now until attaining enlightenment, I will apply body, speech, and mind to virtue. So that really is actually the bodhisattva vow. We are doing it for the sake of sentient beings. And so every day we take the bodhisattva vow in this way. And now, what really determines whether a vow has arisen or not, or whether or not a vow has declined, is whether or not love and compassion has arisen within your mind. So when you see the suffering of sentient beings and compassion arises, then you can say the vow has arisen. This is the vow. It is when love and compassion arise. And it is interrupted when anger and jealousy arise. So then when that happens, you have to be mindful. I have taken a vow, and now it has been interrupted by an affliction. So then you should immediately confess that transgression. And so in this way, you practice the vow with mindfulness. And when a transgression occurs, then immediately you confess that. You've taken the vow of bodhicitta, the bodhisattva vow, and then based on that, you take whatever vow of body and speech. And this bodhisattva vow of bodhicitta is that seed in your mind. And when an affliction arises, then you should recognize now an obstacle to my bodhicitta has arisen. So that is very significant because bodhicitta is my only cause to temporarily take birth in the three higher realms and to ultimately attain the state of enlightenment. So you have to remember the qualities of bodhicitta again and again. And when it becomes spoiled, what's most important is that you develop a strong sense of regret, of remorse. So when a vow declines, what's most important is to regret that. And then again, restore your bodhicitta. It is said that if you do not regret, then confession or laying aside does also not occur. So actually, it is an incredible benefit to develop a strong sense of regret, even for a slight transgression. Because otherwise, if we lack this mindfulness, it is due to a lack of mindfulness that we continuously, uninterruptedly form stronger karmic imprints in our mind. That happens when we are unmindful. We develop more subtle and more coarse, all sorts of habitual imprints in our mind, and we are not aware of it. Only we really recognize when a more coarse afflictive emotion arises. So begin to recognize these afflictions and immediately confess them when they arise. So for example, when anger arises, immediately give rise to love. Then the vow is restored. And you should trust in yourself in that. So in brief, what is a vow? It really is the continuum of love. And when you get angry, you break that vow. So it's very important to understand the crucial point here. That is why it is important at all times to be mindful of your vow. Then the vow actually has arisen, and it remains there like a seed in your mind that will grow slowly into a sprout until it grows into the fruit. And so until then, you must make sure that the seed and the sprout do not become interrupted. So what determines whether or not a vow has arisen, therefore, is whether or not bodhicitta has arisen. If bodhicitta has arisen, then the vow has arisen. So when love and compassion have arisen, these are the seed and the sprout of bodhicitta that has arisen within your mind. So at all times, with mindfulness, you have to sustain that and bring that with you, love and compassion for sentient beings. So what's most important when it comes to the vow, therefore, is the arising of love and compassion. When that has arisen, then on the basis of that, you will naturally abandon negative conduct with body and speech. But this is really what it means to take this commitment when we take a vow.
Nobody jelly or the only ni Tana, Rinpoche Soje, Guba Manchive, Chip of some one Joroso, Rinimari regularly, also don't divide Langaya, the city about that give out the jet up train at the shop, like a tree city which said, had a person so bad, Lin Tonadi, Kasi Lim Matomati, Tamchati, Rangaman, party, nobody already. Yana, Nini Tobla, Pinchivari, eso.
Then it says, however, it would be best if one were able to take the vows anew every day, since there are many compelling reasons to do so, such as the development of stable mindfulness. So then it is, even though the vow has already arisen, it is still good to take the vow each and every day, because in this way you remember the vow, you're mindful of the vow to a greater extent. And the more mindful you are, the greater will be your wisdom, the greater will be your mindfulness. Ideally, you take it in this way every day, remembering the vow every day. At the very least, even if you can't do that, you must be mindful so as to not transgress the vow. But so what this is saying is that if you are able to take it every day in this way, then the benefit is even greater.
Then he saw a guba, na yotam, me, Catarasam, yote, so. Tadela, some to Kashigatini, Domate, Yantenetini, Sotaga Doman, Zape, Chapajatini, Sasoya, me, song. Telo is a new mango, the state of the Topa Serra Seva song. Territory, song goes on, King Anson, Zima, the song goes.
Then next is the fourth point, fourth examination. If one breaks a vow, one can still keep the other vows. Regarding the fourth examination, if one wonders whether or not there is still a point in keeping the other vows, if one has broken the essential vow of the fundamental precepts, there is. So there's also different opinions about that. There's some who say that if you break the vows, the social vows, then all of them are broken. So it's just like a clay pot that is broken. You can't fix it. And so they can't be, the other ones also cannot be restored. But this one actually here is saying that you can still actually keep the other vows. You still have the vows if one vow is broken. So even if you break one vow, you can still keep the other vows.
다주 조고도를 이제 칼라사데 스로 되니 총을 뭐 맞춰 스로 칼라스 잡아래 스르카라 수자들이 되는데 민네들이 그것도 직접히 자창송토바데 매일그 자오를 제어스 드리제가 스르카라 총문고 마저 수자바데 매일을 제마도 들라이자 버를 제어서 이 로주장 요런들아롱나다다 이 잡고 이제 그니 메시지는 제와 차요래 이 잡고 매일 잡고 들더니 신토가 동보라와 요래 되는 신토 숨니 동보 숨니 되게 신토니 맞다 빨리 잡고야 벌크요래 펄레더니 그런 신동을 나왔나더니 신토 한 만든 것들이 참상 신토 빼야 못되는 거 총요래 총들이 거고 다 잡고 가는 쳐버리는데 잡고를 풀고서 이렇게 신토도 잡고를 풀가래 잡고게 큰 데다 딱 거래 신토시 보사 이셔 근데 다른 것에 딱 누가 딱 거쳐 신토대도 그 소리 까는 말이지
So then there's this story here about two mendicants who both of them took the Nyingma vows, and one of them was able to keep all the vows completely, and the other one, he kept them all except for one, because his wife in the afternoon told him, "You must be so hungry, you should eat something." So he could not resist her, so he ate something after midday. And so as a result of that, the one who was able to keep all the vows was born as a human king, and the one who kept all but one of the vows was born as a Naga, a king. And so then there's this story in the Vinayas, in the Vinaya teachings. So then those kings also had a connection to each other in their life. So one of them kind of was right, like there was this fruit tree, so the human king was guarding that fruit tree, and so one time a very perfect fruit grew on that tree. So then he thought, I have to offer this to the king because the king is very kind. And then he went to the king to offer him that fruit, and actually the fruit is the king is eating fruit every day, but he said that this is a very nice fruit, so you have to bring me this kind of fruit every day.
그상바상보고 잡을 퍼마이들이 신도제도 이제 연구요 말이지 다고 제봤다 그리 이 잡수카라 송들이고 들이 등행량이 놓는들이 니 코바리 이 군대들이 라잡고 때 손들이 다 잡고니 그만 제와지 들이 제와지 문주고 딱들이 라잡고 무슨 용들이 라서 왔다들이 이렇게들이 신도제도 용마강 코르테 드니 왜 잡고르시 드니 진이 신도다다 저도 열려 연구요 말이지 내 띵이 코랑 째게 드니 니네라 제소 말에 드니 사도 로주데 셴 드니 코고 스드 가제 수네 드니지 스드 가제 드니 따서다 콩로 잡고르지 요래 드니 잡고르 요나 드니 롱주 요나 드니 라랑 세진도 동을 라소가 요래 들이 실제 신도도 또 요 말에지 들이 시바탕도 로지요래 대답을 니가 다톡더니 니가 잡자고 톱송세 레저 보태양들이 송평 되거든이 라마지 송고 평 되거든이 잡자고 톱송송
And so that then the one who was born as the Naga king, so then he was the one who was who was offering the fruit to the human king, and now the human king demanded that he would bring this fruit every day, and he said that if you don't, you will be punished. And so when he heard that, he was very sad about that, and he thought that this fruit will not always grow, so I will be punished. So then he went to the seaside, lamenting, being miserable, and he fell asleep. And so then he supplicated, and a god appeared, and then God said that no, in the human world, this kind of fruit will not always grow. But in the past, you have kept the Nyingma vows, so I will give it to you. And so the reason why you now experience suffering is because you kept some of those Nyingma vows, but later, after midday, you did have a meal. That is why you were born as the Naga king. So as the Naga king, you do experience some enjoyments and wealth, but suffering too. And so therefore, there's this fruit, but later there won't be any more fruits. So anyways, there's this story in the Vinayam, and then finally in the end, both of them attained the state of an arhat. So even the king of the Nagas, there were still benefits of having kept the remainder of the vows. And as a result of that, he also attained arhatship.
오 잡지도 마셔 지금 말이지 또 도바는 냠선 왕신 이거 말이지 담생 냠선은 이 비니 바쳐 버렸어 내가 저번에 뒤에서 보고서 냠리 마토니 바쳐서 오 되게 토탈 냠나 되게 샤과체는 당 성물이 맞죠 자와니 잡고 사고 매가다 사고 중대가 봐지 사고 중대가 돼서 저걸 빼대다왜 냠리 마토니 바쳐서 이러다 도바타지라고 강도들 레 같이 냠통들이 잡아지 대체이지 다 뒤책대가 내가 또 거요래 전나 냠리 마토지 바지 도바 가리는 쇼고래 왕 가리는 쇼 되게 강탑탑성 마송어더니 샤과지야 되게 줘 보여래.
So regarding taking the vows, there are some people who say that you shouldn't take all kinds of vows, like the refuge vow, or you shouldn't take an empowerment, because if the samaya is broken, then that's a really great fault. But actually, Lord Jigten Sumgön had said it is a greater fault to not take a vow than to take one and break it. So it's still better to take and break a vow than not to take it at all. Because even if you break a vow, you still have that seed, and you can confess and restore it. And that is still better than someone who doesn't even have the seed of liberation at all. As long as you have at least a small seed of liberation, you can always restore it through confession. So for this reason, it is a greater fault to not have a vow. It is worse to not have a vow than to have one and break it. So therefore, you should take however many vows, and if they break, confess them. So this is really what these words here are saying. It is good to receive empowerments and to receive however many vows you can. You keep them, of course, as well as you can. And if they are broken or transgressed, then you should confess them.
공금마염 데라서 봐 체대 냐와를 펴면들이 냐와 찍을 손들이 다다다 이제 강 시대 냠가 가지고 남았더니 퇴직이 됐나 들이 매직요 디디 님바를 잡았더니 가로만 이제 주바 퍼내더니고 들이 하자 되고 감나지 내게요 들이 고모님한테 님한 남대 정체들이 Kanto Jati Chase, Jackson, they go Takwasa, Nimba Chala, Devata, Chija, Domento, Data, Young, this are the job Didila, Yarishu Castle, or Tati Mujata, Nukaga Chala, Dobala, Pim, song. They told you Tambi, June, the Varan, Mambo, or Carchibo, they told you, there is a Kang Tata Bling or Eso.
So also the previous story that we mentioned, there was this butcher who couldn't take the vow of not killing during the daytime, but he took the vow at night time. And also in the past, some of the Buddha's disciples, like Moggallana and so forth, for example, Moggallana went intentionally to the hell realm to help his mother and so on. So one time when he was in hell, he saw that there was this beautiful palace, a very pleasing palace, and in the center of it there was a man. And during the daytime, this man was being offered by 4 dakinis, and he experienced immense bliss, just like in a Pure Land. But at nighttime, once the sun was setting, those 4 dakinis turned into 4 ferocious dogs who were continuously eating and biting him. So at daytime, he was blissful. At nighttime, he suffered. So then Moggallana asked the Buddha about that, and the Buddha said that was because in the past, this person took a vow at daytime, and that's the benefit of that. So there's many stories like that in the Vinaya, which are very important. But it is to say that you should take as many vows as you are able to keep.
Tata Congress Domba, so the Yamna Yang, Yida Songba, take a pion, the Shepta Songari, the Senator, the Nibala Majobatam, the some pion Jongo Mari, Ben Shamazavan, oh, Hishasame, Tomatigame, they think they are Domalingo, Maresam, they Majopasam, Jessica de Latini, Rangi, Shasagam, and Domba Chijana, the tell Sambata, Joan, the Balas of a source, Nitini, a Pion Jungo, or the Dombata Madena, the Dombata Madena, the Jamasipita Maderne, Trirangi, Berry. Shamazawa Nibayang, Shasawa Nibayang me, Shamazawa de Ping me, what is our Chadi? The Testam Bena, Tamatinga Mena Medic, oh, Tanga de Matanga, Tamatinga mes, Tang Tereni to the Tamatingi, Doba Jogod. Shasa made, Shamaza Dobari Jogod, Changtong made, Changtong Dobari Jojana, Trinity of Jungle, Tajin, Nimari, the Techina, so now with Joran Jodo, Yori, so now with Joshi Battery, same the Baratini, oh, Simchi, the dog, Che, dirty, didn't go to a pambo, Jonathan, Doba just to you something. This one I'm not taking joy to Kuri. Tamaram, you get the Ripena, Techina. Oh, Tati Nipayang me, Ping me, Tanum Pena, Teta Vere, Territory, Lapatini, Rangi Junda, Drupmagope, Satan Tea, Teni, Shatang, Changdang, Teni Tama, Slapatini, Yibatam Tin, and Tamati, Tukri Pena, the Tamatiki, Tandrogi Jerry, Tabam Lamgardo, the Kashiki, Thamati, 타마텔라티니 되니 타마를 드라마다 요래 오 되게 되니 송송가 안가니 오 타마테 되니 냠이게 제를 양상으로 땅니 오 타마테 되니 냠이 제클이 기록하셔야 된다고 요사리 옛날에 말이 대 라왕도 지왕 얘기는 탐지에 너니 다다다 타마테도 그래 대대다다 내가 타마선 것만 해 강이잖아 사지 자주도 타마 요사 말이 대 기세들이 타마다 송사리 대회는 대다다 다다다 등창 먹이와 탐지에 타마다 하장 독수들에 들으셨던 로라제를 잡으면 남각이 요래 들이제가 소원 가나 들이랑 김밥미와 배나 샥주시는 점이 잡아다가 차고요래 들이제를 소와 될때네 오다 소원 가서와 될라 대화는 무지는 대거래 됐다와는 말이 들이제게 산다블랑이야 타마나고 되니 먹을 잡을 저기요 말이 들이면 많이 봐 대다고 뭐 토탕매와 차대요래 들이제 강의장들이 타마다 하쟁이 받지 뭐래 근데 마송과 제기 뭐요래 타마 가시 팅거나 용도티 용도 땅 타마니 봐 양도 딱게 땅 나사 탐지 되는 경우요래 로네 되라서 나사 탐지 이제래 들이 시랍진 탐지가 타마 생기요 말에 소이나 시랍진 탐지 들이 제 같이 뭐요래
So therefore, even if one of the vows that you have taken declines, you should still keep the others, and there are the corresponding benefits that we mentioned. So that's explained very in great detail. So then, what is we mentioned next here is that, however, simply by not engaging in negative actions, that in itself does not lead to those benefits. So what that is to say, for example, is that, for example, if you don't eat meat, so then you think that I don't eat meat anyways, or I don't smoke anyways, so since I don't do that anyways, I don't have to take a vow to not do it. But that's actually wrong. Even though you are not engaging in these activities anyways, there is still great benefit in taking a vow, for example, of not eating meat. So even though you do not eat meat anyways, you can still take a vow of not eating meat, because the benefit arises from your intention that you develop in your mind. So if you do not take a vow, then you do not have that intention. You have not taken refuge. You have not cultivated a beneficial mind. So then, in that case, without a vow, if you're not eating meat, then of course you will not have the fault of eating meat, but you also will not have the benefit of not eating meat. So, for example, if you're a non-smoker, then you can still think that I am not smoking, but I will take a vow from today onwards that I'm not going to smoke. Or you take a vow of not eating meat, even if you don't eat it anyways. Or you take a vow of not drinking alcohol, even if you don't drink anyways. And so this is how we take those sojong vows each and every day, and they become in this way a cause of great merit. They become great merit because of your intention that you developed. So you have said that for the benefit of sentient beings, with the three jewels as my witness, I am taking this particular vow. This is what makes the activity then become meritorious. Otherwise, if you just let it be like an ordinary person, and you don't smoke anyways and so on, then there won't be the fault, of course, but also there will be no benefit. It will become just more like indifferent. So it's very important that on an ongoing basis, if there are certain activities that you do not do anyways, that you still take a vow of not doing them, such as not eating meat or not drinking alcohol or not smoking. And among these activities, actually the worst is smoking. Smoking really is the worst fault of all of them. It is a very direct cause of birth as an animal. Also, it blocks the pathway of the central channel. And so there's different kinds of smoking. There is apparently some spiritual traditions or religions where people say that taking certain intoxicants like that or smoking is part of the practice and it enhances the practice. But it's not as simple as that, actually. It has a lot to do with having control and having no control over it. But in general, we can say that smoking anything is the worst of all of these activities. And some people wonder of why the Buddha hasn't mentioned that then. It's because when the Buddha was alive, smoking tobacco did not exist. And that's why he didn't mention it. But later, actually, this rule did appear once the tobacco was discovered. You're born as an animal, and it blocks the tamasong. So when what happens is that the reason why we experience it as blissful is because when we smoke or take intoxicants, then our feelings, our sensations are being, we have no feelings, almost like an anesthesia that you get when you have a surgery. And so this is what people identify with blissful. But that's really not the case at all. This is a wrong. Intoxicants is not even considered a real human being among society. And such a person is not being given rights as other people and so on. So it's really the greatest fault, and it's very important to you should try to smoke less, to decrease, and really think again and again about the faults and the problems that come from it. For example, the diseases that it causes, such as lung diseases and so on. Actually, people with intelligence, with wisdom, they do not smoke. So that's really very important. So.
They part the song, and people in what the time, then Thomas Jackson Joata, oh, on sort of Gitter Timba, Tambo Joa Sipti Tamasi, Simply Tamte on is, Mujim Tambati, the Tondagan, Yeti, the Dai, my Tontamani Teta, Tomanito, don't know about the Teta Matova Simply Tamte on the modular simply Dadi Nibo, modular in Sanchoxem, Delatini, Tata, Sanchoxem, Demo go, Delita, Sanchoxem, but you joke Monam, the Garchen Yore, Dinani, Tassim, Kang, Mambo, or Tesami, and Dinam, Mambo song, or Tesam, so the Ginty Dungatina, they tell Toati Yore, or Belta Natata was sooner, Dabrina, Natati Dungati Sana, it is not just about Tabateta or Cabina, or simply the party, but you're the Nelly, such as you draw and then a man of Tadin, you want me what you say some Sumuki Chepa, then Jasi Shiara, Sumsa Chipa, Panda Lija, there is so good Chipa, Sancho Chevich, Undo Data, Yellow Sun is in Yankee. Some shit happened to Monam Tamna, Sanjay Tamchik, Monam, the Trinity, the Karchibo, and the Tata, Tamchik, Sanjok, Unjo, or the Song, the Trinity of young Logan, or two Data Mari, Fiore, this is Lama gave she Tamchik, the Chisha, the young Jalsha, They are drawing Kilchimoy, they to draw them Jetta now, they don't get Mashiva non travel, nothing young, Shakashi, they get on now.
You simply do not engage in misdeeds, that does not lead to the accumulation of merit. That is why we take a vow. We do that by thinking from this time on and refuge in the three jewels. We recall the three jewels. So we begin with the preparation of the proper mind generation, which is a motivation for then we engage in the actual practice reference point, and that means without distraction and also resting within the state of emptiness. And in the end, we dedicate these roots of virtue for all sentient beings with bodhicitta. So first we cultivate bodhicitta, and then we practice it, and in the end, it is. And so that is why this prayer that I encourage everyone to recite is very important. The prayer that comes from Shantideva's Bodhicharya Vatara. Actually lists the various different kinds of sufferings that can read through this prayer. You bring to mind each of the feeling of compassion. And so especially nowadays in the world where this disease is, and so they is be freed from every malady and so forth. There's these three unique qualities of first the unique teacher who was Shantideva, and then the unique location which was that the Bodhicharya Vatara. And then if you make, then you are merging your intention with all the Buddhas. And so therefore it is like you're reciting it all together. So that is very important. So all of you continue to recite this prayer. Introduction. Ask your hosts again. It's also important that you discuss the meaning of it. So please tell my friend, there's been mistakes due to my not knowing. And now in the end, let's dedicate those roots of virtue.
Hello, everyone. We were not able to hear Ina's translation for the last section, so Khenpo Tenzin will do his best to fill in the translation at this point.
Rinpoche says in this last section, end of this section, we are going to recite Shantideva's prayer. The reason is right now in this world, many people are suffering, and also Rinpoche refers in this Shantideva's four-line prayers. And then Rinpoche says that today Rinpoche gave the teaching on the Sobjong vows. And then if there's any mistakes, Rinpoche made any mistakes by himself, Rinpoche well confused, confess it, and then every part of the correct, and then let us together dedicate through SagaDawa's book.
Next, we'll read Shantideva's dedication on page 61 in the blue prayer book. By all the virtue I have now amassed by composition of this book, which speaks of entry to the Bodhisattva way, may every being tread the path to Buddhahood. May beings everywhere who suffer torment in their minds and bodies have by my virtue of my merit, joy and happiness in boundless measure. As long as they may linger in samsara, may their present joy know no decline, and may they taste unsurpassed beatitude in constant and unbroken continuity. Throughout the spheres and reaches of the world and hellish states wherever they may be, may beings fettered there, tormented, taste the bliss and peace of Sukhavati. May those caught in the freezing ice be warmed, and from the massing clouds of Bodhisattva prayers, may torrents rain in boundless streams to cool those burning in infernal fires. May forests where the leaves are blades and swords become sweet groves and pleasant woodland glades, and may the trees of miracles appear, supplanting those upon the hill of Shamali. And may the very pits of hell be sweet with fragrant pools all perfumed with the scent of lotuses, be lovely with the cries of swan and goose and waterfowl so pleasing to the ear. May fiery coals turn into heaps of jewels, the burning ground become a crystal floor, the crushing hills celestial abodes, adorned with offerings the dwelling place of Buddhas. May the hail of lava, fiery stones, and weapons henceforth become a rain of blossoms. May those whose hell it is to fight and wound be turned to lovers offering their flowers. And those engulfed in fiery Vajrani, their flesh destroyed, their bones bleached white as kunda flowers. May they, through all my merit strength, have godlike forms and sport with the goddesses in Mandakini's peaceful streams. What fear is it, they'll ask, that grips the henchmen of the deadly Lord, the frightful vultures and the carrion crows? What noble strength is it that brings us joy and drives away our dreadful night? And looking skyward, they will see the shining form of Vajrapani. Then may their sins be quenched in joy, and may they go to him. And when they see the seething lava flood of hell, extinguished in a rain of blossoms, drenched in scented water, at once fulfilled in bliss, they'll ask, how can this be? And thus the denizens of hell will see the one who holds the lotus. Friends, throw away your fears and quickly gather here, for who is it who comes to banish dread, this youth with bound-up gleaming hair? This loving bodhisattva saving and protecting every being, whose power relieves all pain, increasing joy. Do you see the splendor of his house that echoes praises of 1,000 goddesses, the 100 gods who lay their diadems before his lotus feet, the rain of flowers falling on his head, his eyes moist with compassion? Thus may those in hell cry out on seeing Manjughosha. And likewise, when, through these my roots of virtue, they see the joyful clouds let fall their cooling scented rain, their obscurations cleansed by bodhisattvas like Samantabhadra, may all those languishing in hell come now to perfect happiness. And may the stooping animals be freed from fear of being preyed upon, each other's food. And may the famished spirits have such joy as those who dwell within the northern continent. And may they be replete and satisfied by streams of milk that pour from noble Lord Avalokita's hand. And bathing in it, may they be refreshed and cooled. And may the blind receive their sight. And may the deaf begin to hear. And women near their time bring forth like Maya Devi, free from any pain. And may the naked now be clothed, and all the hungry eat their fill. And may those parched with thirst receive pure waters and delicious drink. May the poor poor and destitute find wealth, the haggard and the careworn joy. May confidence relieve those in despair and bring them steadfastness in every excellence. May every being ailing with disease be freed at once from every malady. May all the sickness that afflicts the living be instantly and permanently healed. May those who go in dread have no more fear. May captives be unchained and now set free. And may the weak receive their strength, and may the living beings help each other in kindness. May travelers upon the road find happiness no matter where they go, and may they gain without the need of toil the goals on which they set their hearts. And may those who put to sea in boat or ship attain the ports that they desire, and may they swiftly come to shore, the sweet reunion with their kith and kin. May those who lose their way and stray in misery find fellow travelers, and safe from the threat of thieves and savage beasts be tireless in their journey light. May children and the old, the weak protectorless, bewildered in the wild and pathless waste, and those whose minds are dulled and all who are insane have pure celestial beings as their guardians. May all attain the human state and be possessed of wisdom, faith, and love. With perfect livelihood and sustenance, may they have mindfulness throughout their lives. May everyone have unrestricted wealth, just like the treasury of space, enjoying it according to their wish, without a trace of harm or enmity. May beings destitute of splendor become magnificent and bright, and those worn down by toil and drudgery acquire great beauty and perfection. May all the women in this world attain the strength of masculinity, and may the lowly come to excellence, the proud and haughty lose their arrogance. And thus by all the merit I have gained, by every being, leaving none aside, abandon all their evil ways, embracing goodness now and evermore. From bodhicitta may they never separate, and constantly engage in bodhisattva's deeds. And may they be accepted as the disciples by the Buddhas and turn aside from what is Mara's work. And may these beings, each and every one, enjoy an unsurpassed longevity, living always in contentment. May the very name of death be strange to them. On every side, in all the 10 directions, may groves of wish-fulfilling trees abound, resounding with the sweetness of the teachings spoken by the Buddha and their bodhisattva's children. And may the earth be wholesome everywhere, free from boulders, cliffs, and chasms, flat and even like a level palm, and smooth like lapis lazuli. And for many circles of disciples, may multitudes of bodhisattvas rise in every land, adorning them with every excellence, from bird song and the sighing of the trees, from shafts of light and from the sky itself. May living beings, each and every one, perceive the constant sound of Dharma. May they come into the presence of the Buddhas and meet with bodhisattvas, offspring of the same, with clouds of offerings unbounded. May the teachers of the world be worshipped. May kindly spirits bring the rains on time for harvests to be rich and plentiful. May princes rule according to the truth, and may the world be blessed with all prosperity. May medicines be strong and full of virtue. May healing spells be chanted with success. May spirits of the air that feed on flesh be kind, their minds imbued with pity. And let no being ever suffer pain. Let them neither ail nor languish, never doing evil. May they have no fear nor suffer insults. And may their minds be ever free from sorrow. In monasteries, temples, and the like, may reading and reciting widely flourish. May harmony prevail among the Sangha, and may its purpose be all fulfilled. May ordained monks intent upon the practice find perfect places for retreat and solitude. Abandon every vagrant thought and meditate with trained and serviceable minds. May nuns have all their wants supplied. May quarreling vindictiveness be strange to them. Let all who have embraced monastic life uphold a pure and unimpaired observance. May they feel regret when discipline is broken, and always may they strive to cleanse away their faults. May they thus attain a fortunate rebirth wherein to undertake unfailing discipline. May the wise and learned be revered and always be sustained by offerings with minds suffused with purity. May their renown spread far and wide. May beings never languish in the lower realms. May pain and hardship be unknown to them. Enjoying more than godlike strength and beauty, may Buddhahood for them be swiftly gained. Again and yet again, may sentient beings make offerings to all the Buddhas, and with the Buddha's unimagined bliss, may they enjoy undimmed and constant happiness. May all the Bodhisattvas now fulfill their high intention for the sake of beings, and sentient beings likewise now receive the good the Buddhas have in store for them. And may the Arhats and Pratya Buddhas at length attain their perfect happiness. And may I also, through Manjushri's kindness, reach the ground of perfect joy, and throughout the stream of all my lives embrace monastic ordination. Thus may I abide sustained by simple ordinary fare, and in every life obtain a dwelling place in perfect solitude. Whenever I desire to gaze on him or put to him the slightest question, may I behold the unobstructed vision of Manjughosha, my protector, to satisfy the needs of beings dwelling in the 10 directions to the margins of the sky. May I reflect in every deed the perfect exploits of Manjushri. And now, as long as space endures, as long as there are beings to be found, may I continue likewise to remain, to drive away the sorrows of the world, the pains and sorrows of all wandering beings. May they ripen wholly on myself, and may the virtuous company of bodhisattvas bring about the happiness of beings. May the doctrine, only remedy for suffering, the source of every bliss and happiness, be nurtured and upheld with reverence, and throughout a vast continuance of time endure. And now to Manjughosha I prostrate, whose kindness is the wellspring of my good intent, and to my virtuous friends I also bow, whose inspiration gave me strength to grow.
Page number 22. Oh, Gare Rave Gorve Yengan Zo Bandan Deva Mala Jove Kere Zawan Teze Jamzo Ye Yabe Zenda Tenje Konjo Zende Khaja Senge Ye Devan Zenjen Berve Danye Ye Kondan Java Dodan Danda Jeza Lame Yade Zo Konjo Zanje Danye Degomba Temba Zela Dadara Doje Dambe Jeje Kesara Nawa Ujin Yoge Yande Zo Babe Yarna Araya Deva Yan Doga Soza Garaja Raizat Yigden Gombe Doze Jeden Ba Barden Garaje Gaze Gaja 28 Kibza Ganza Ganjan Jeje Danda Nela Wanda Gomba Ranchen Baraja Damba Sanda Ba Yeda Zangon Zenju Sadon Golo Jabo Yedon Garba Zambe Zanje Nanga Nara Jama Jawan Simba Jere Zela Zorwa
Everybody sangha thank you. Oh, sipa sipa, jakayo, thank you, 谢谢你。long life.